the air, out of the basketball room and the basketball world, to be honest. When all of that happens, signal from the bullpen, Caitlin Clark's name. Now, it's funny because Stephanie White was just talking about, people are using Caitlin Clark's name. People are using Caitlin Clark's name, including you, to draw attention. Just wondering, you're doing it right now during the very podcast that everybody said, oh, she didn't say what she said.
The claim hit.
So this really blew up, right? Nefessa Collier said something wild, that Caitlin Clark should be grateful for her $16 million off-court money, because she wouldn't have it without the WNBA platform. Collier was supposedly quoting Commissioner Kathy Engelberg. But here's the thing, it wasn't just that quote. People are really upset because WNBA stars are just constantly using Caitlin Clark's name to push their own agendas during these superheated CBA negotiations. Fans are fuming, they're asking why Clark's success is suddenly a bargaining chip now, and where all this support was when she was getting absolutely slammed on the court. It feels like the whole league is in a civil war, and Clark is right in the middle of it.
I want to cover today. So let's jump right in, and let's start with the ongoing WNBA CBA negotiations. If you guys remember, the deadline for these first rounds, or the first deadline in these CBA negotiations, is this Friday, so in 2 days, October 31st. Now, most of us were expecting that the league and the players would not get a deal done by that time, and it looks like that is very well not going to happen. Alexa Filippo reported that the WNBA has offered players a 30-day extension to continue negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement. An extension before the current CBA expires Friday would allow both sides more time to work toward a...
And get this, Collier didn't back down. She actually doubled down in Glamour magazine, saying players are being so grossly taken advantage of that it should be illegal. She really called out Clark's insane revenue for the league. I mean, Clark is bringing in hundreds of millions, but only gets under $80,000 a year, and 0% of that revenue share. Collier highlighted that massive, undeniable gap. It's wild. She even finally admitted that WNBA players are totally riding on Caitlin Clark's back, and not just by tackling her in games. Now, they're using her huge financial pull as their main leverage for a new deal.
Here you go. By the way, Collier was awfully quiet when Caitlin Clark was getting her brains beat out last year. In 2024, the rookie season. Where were you? Where were you? I mean, look, is she coming to grips with the fact that Caitlin Clark is the whole damn league, nothing but the league, it's so help me God? Is she coming to facts with that? Maybe. Good. I don't know if these players were in denial. Hell, I don't know what they're thinking.
What's crazy is the irony here. It's just undeniable. Stephanie White, who's a really respected voice, actually complained before about people using Caitlin Clark's name for their own reasons. But then you have Collier on a podcast talking about this exact issue, doing the very same thing. It made so many people wonder about the hypocrisy. That double standard just felt so glaring. Plus, this sudden focus on Clark's revenue, it only came up after the CBA talks completely hit a wall. That's sparking accusations that players are only acknowledging her huge value now because it directly benefits their own paychecks.
Work stoppage, either a strike initiated by the players or a lockout initiated by the owners. A source said the players might be willing to consider an extension under the right circumstances, but they feel those circumstances do not yet exist. And that line in this article is the one that stood out to me, because basically the players at this point in time are saying they're not sure if they're even going to accept the offer of an extension. So basically there's three options that you can take. You can either accept the extension that was given by the WNBA. You can not take the extension, but you can continue negotiating in good faith, which I wouldn't recommend because I've done that before and got burned by it. So I wouldn't recommend that. Or thirdly,
now, this isn't just about money, you know? A lot of people see it as a loyalty issue, or rather, a huge lack of it. Seriously, where were Nefessa Collier and all these suddenly vocal stars when Caitlin Clark was getting absolutely pummeled last year and early in her rookie season? Remember Angel Reese giving her that clothesline? or Marina Mabrey slamming into her like she was a WWE wrestler. The silence back then was deafening, but now, with the financial stakes at their absolute highest, Clark's name is suddenly their rallying cry. It's a really convenient shield for all their demands.
Where were you? I mean, look, is she coming to grips with the fact that Caitlin Clark is the whole damn league, nothing but the league, it's so help me God? Is she coming to facts with that? Maybe. Good. I don't know if these players were in denial. Hell, I don't know what they're thinking. But let me summon Caitlin Clark's name for the sake of the CBA. Here we go. Ongoing negotiations became a mainstream story in the sports world after Nafisia.
So, fans are getting totally fed up with this. They're really criticizing Collier for just shamelessly using Caitlin Clark's name like this. Look, while some people definitely support players fighting for higher pay, a lot of others are just sick of this narrative. It feels like they're using Clark without giving her any real support when she actually needed it most. The message is pretty clear. You need her now, and now you want her. This really exposes a deeper conflict in the league. It's like there's this resentment toward Clark's unprecedented fame, even though everyone is benefiting from the economic tsunami she's brought in.
Going to accept it and they will go on strike. What it does is it makes it so these players are no longer part of the team. They're just like not working with the team. That means the facility's shut. They're not going to be doing workouts. They don't have access to the court, the workout room, all of these types of things. And I've said in the past, things like this actually hurt the players who are not these superstar players. They hurt the middle tier and lower level players more than they actually hurt the superstar players, because superstar players at this point in time, they're making a lot more money. They have a lot more resources and access to get into other gyms, work with other trainers. But this was alarming to me that the players said that the circumstances do not exist yet for them to just accept an extension.
Listen, the WNBA is in the middle of some really intense CBA negotiations right now, and a work stoppage is actually looming. The first deadline for these talks already passed, and they offered an extension, but the players said they aren't ready to accept, which is a big hint at a possible strike or even a lockout. This whole high-stakes situation is exactly why Clark's name has become such a powerful and, for some, infuriating. Her incredible marketability is now the ultimate bargaining chip for every player's future salary.
At one point in her passionate tirade, Collier claimed that Engelbert had said to her earlier this year Caitlin Clark should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. You know, we've had, about a month to set on that? About a good month to set on that. I'm starting to wonder if that actually was said.
So, Aaron D. Drake, who's the senior advisor and legal counsel for the WNBA Players Association, straight up blamed the league. He said it's been hard to find a rhythm or the same sense of urgency from the league to get this deal done. Just to be frank, this public blame game, it only poured gas on the fire, adding to all the wildly unprofessional drama swirling around these negotiations. All the public bickering and leaking of information has just created a huge, messy spectacle. It's really testing the patience of fans and league officials too.
Both sides are kind of just pointing fingers. There's been so much that has been wildly unprofessional, in my personal opinion. We've went over all of those things in previous videos. But this is another thing where the spokesperson for the WNBA PA is blaming the WNBA and saying, like, they're just difficult to work with. And now the WNBA came back with their statement, and here's what they had to say. They said, "We have been negotiating with the Players Association in good faith and with urgency for several months with the goal of finalizing a new collective bargaining agreement as quickly as possible. Throughout this process, we have been clear that our top priority is reaching a new collective bargaining agreement that addresses players ask for significant increases in pay."
But the league totally fired back, you know? They basically told the Players Association to stop spreading public information and actually come join them for some constructive talks. They straight up accused the players of not even offering a viable economic proposal and repeatedly refusing to engage meaningfully on a lot of terms. This whole pointed statement really just highlighted the deep division. It also implied that the players' strategy of public outcry, especially using Clark's financial impact, was actually stopping progress instead of helping it.
Nafisia Collier, blunt comment about Caitlin Clark's WNBA pay situation speaks volumes. Collier took her sentiment about Clark's WNBA pay one step further when speaking with Glamour magazine for a feature story that was published on October 27. Quote, we are being so grossly almost taken advantage of, it should be illegal, Collier said. The founder of A Competitor Unrivaled said. The amount of money that Caitlin...
Here's another big thing, though. A critical factor in this whole revenue dispute is the WNBA's unique ownership structure. Get this. The league only owns about 42% of itself. Outside shareholders hold 16%, and a massive 42% is actually owned by the NBA. What this means is there's a smaller pie for players to even demand a bigger revenue percentage from. It makes their requests for more money super difficult to fulfill without some major restructuring. It makes you wonder, could the WNBA really sustain itself and meet these player demands if the NBA were to just step away completely? This current setup just complicates absolutely everything.
Something I've been thinking about, and I don't even know if they could do it, but I almost wish the WNBA had enough funds that they could buy back their percentage from the NBA and they could just run the league themselves. Now, I don't actually think that the WNBA has enough just from the previous years where they weren't profitable to be able to buy the NBA's shares back. But I almost want to see, like, if the NBA did just remove itself from the picture, could the WNBA self-sustain? If the NBA wasn't in the picture, could the WNBA succeed on its own? Then they should be able to pay the ladies the revenue split that they're asking for. But could it be a league?
On top of that, the Players Association has been getting a lot of flack for leaking confidential information. We've seen it from Sawtooth Sabley's league details to Nafessa Collier's bombshell claims about the commissioner. This constant flow of internal negotiation stuff into the public eye, a lot of people see it as totally undermining the WNBA's negotiating power. Sure, it might be meant to get public support, but it's really just created an atmosphere of distrust and a ton of animosity between the players and the league office. It's just prolonging all this chaotic, unprofessional drama.
Clark has made the league is insane. True statement. And she's getting 0% of it because we have no revenue share. Also a correct statement. She gets less than $80,000 a year and she's bringing in like what? Hundreds of millions of dollars. It's insane. So you at least finally acknowledge y'all all riding Caitlin Clark's back. Not only during games and not only by tackling her during games, but now you're at least acknowledging she's the person that's driving the whole bus.
Meanwhile, even the NFL Players Association jumped in with this big, performative statement of solidarity. They were saying it's time for fair compensation, proper working conditions, and a future that puts players first. And look, while it might be well-intentioned, many observers think these kinds of social media posts from outside organizations don't really do anything to sway the WNBA or its owners. It honestly just feels like virtue signaling, adding more noise to the situation without offering any real solutions or leverage in these super complex financial negotiations. It's kind of an empty gesture in what's a really high-stakes standoff.
ESPN's role as an official broadcast partner for AU's professional leagues in softball, basketball, and volleyball. And if you guys don't know, Athletes Unlimited is another off-season league for WNBA players. Athletes Unlimited was also around well before Unrivaled was. It is a 5v5 professional basketball league, and it looks like ESPN will be broadcasting some of these games. Now, if we look at the basketball players who are part of Athletes Unlimited currently, you have players like Ariel Atkins, Sarah Ashley Barker, Kirsten Bell, Lexi Brown, Tina Charles, Caitlin Chen, Alicia Clark. You have Sid Colson, you have Bree Hall, you have Isabel Harrison, Natasha Mack is in there.
The conversation around Caitlin Clark's name is definitely a lightning rod. It's just drawing so much attention to these massive disparities in earnings. She's making all these headlines for her huge NIL deals and endorsements, right? But her WNBA salary, like all rookies, is actually pretty modest compared to what she makes off-court and all the revenue she personally drives. This huge gap is really the core of the player's argument. They're using her exceptional case to highlight what they see as systemic underpayment across the entire league. Basically, her individual success is now being weaponized for collective gain.
See that little headline right there? Shamelessly plugging Caitlin Clark's name. WNBA players react to Collier leveraging Fever Star's fame to push CBA demands. Yeah, I mean, you need her now? Now you want her. Have y'all come to grips with the idea that the entire media rights deal, the new one, is all because of Miss Clark? Or have y'all grasped that yet? So this goes down here through the statement that I just read to you guys.
And what's more, a lot of players and union reps who are involved in these high-stakes discussions are also connected to competing off-season leagues. Take Unrivaled, for example. It was co-founded by players like Brianna Stewart and Nefessa Collier herself, who, by the way, is also the VP of the Players Union. So this definitely raises some big questions about potential conflicts of interest. Are these CBA negotiations being influenced by a desire to boost these alternative ventures? It just adds another layer of complexity and suspicion to an already really tense environment, fueling a lot of skepticism about everyone's true motives.
Sat in his house, did an hour-long interview, probably got paid like $10 million to do it because he does not do media. And they are just breadcrumbing us with all of these segments and like slowly releasing them throughout the whole season, which, by the way, if that truly was the deal, kudos to Michael Jordan. He fleeced all of us. But the most recent segment that went out last night was about load management. And Michael Jordan said, you play basketball for 2.5 to 3 hours a day. That's your job. What are you doing the other 21 hours? And he said that load management shouldn't be needed. He talked about wanting to play in every single game because you never know if it's going to be a fan's first time.
The timing of all this intense focus on Clark's revenue is pretty suspicious to some people. For years, the league was struggling with profitability, and players were mostly quiet about revenue share in such dramatic terms. But now, with Clark bringing in unprecedented viewership and all these new financial opportunities, the whole narrative has just shifted dramatically. One commentator even asked, why so quiet before? It really suggests that this sudden urgency and these aggressive tactics are a direct response to Clark's arrival, rather than some long-standing principled stand.
The fact is, there's a lot of these women, I just wondered, they all hate Caitlin Clark, so many of them. When they go to get that extra money, are they going to give it back to the league? Because they're like, well, we ain't taking it. On the back of the white girl, we ain't taking that money. You can keep it. We was building this league, was you? No, I don't think the numbers reflected that. Just calling it like I see it. Tell me what you think.
And there's this underlying tension, right? It feels like many women in the league might actually resent Caitlin Clark, but they're still more than willing to accept all the financial benefits her presence brings. So this uncomfortable question just lingers. Will they truly embrace the extra money generated because of her? Or is there this deep-seated resistance to her transformative impact? The numbers, though, they don't lie. Clark is undeniably driving the bus here, whether everyone actually likes the driver or not.
Basketball for 2.5 to 3 hours a day. That's your job. What are you doing the other 21 hours? And he said that load management shouldn't be needed. He talked about wanting to play in every single game because you never know if it's going to be a fan's first time watching you play. He talked about the fans that were in the nosebleed section watching him play, and then also just his competitive spirit. Like, he wanted to prove to everybody how great he was every time he stepped on the court. And I just think these segments are so interesting because we truly have never heard takes from Michael Jordan. He's been somebody who has let his game speak for himself. He's never been one who's heavy in the media. Honestly,
all this ongoing drama is just completely draining. It's truly more drama than I even want to talk about. This feeling isn't just from fans and commentators, but probably from the players and league officials too. All the constant he said, she said arguments, the public mudslinging, and these stalled negotiations have created such a toxic atmosphere that it's totally overshadowing the actual game. Everyone is so tired of this spectacle, they're just desperately hoping for a resolution so we can all get back to basketball. What's crazy is how precarious the situation is, especially for Clark. She was physically abused on the court, and now she seems to be used as a pawn in these high-stakes financial battles. Could anyone really blame her if she decided to play somewhere else, like overseas? If a country offered her $5 million to escape, that would be an attempt to get out of a league that seems to be both exploiting her fame and failing to protect her. The thought of Clark actually leaving the WNBA, that would be absolutely devastating. Ultimately, this whole battle over the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement has just exposed a deep, deep fissure within the league, with Caitlin Clark right at its epicenter. Her name has become this powerful, yet incredibly divisive weapon in the fight for higher player compensation. While her impact is undeniable, the big question still remains, are players genuinely fighting for the collective good? Or are they really just leveraging Clark's unprecedented fame and the public's fascination with her to serve their own immediate and potentially conflicting interests? The future of the WNBA and Clark's place within it honestly hangs so precariously in the balance as this dramatic saga keeps unfolding.